Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Networked. I am your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and today I'm excited to introduce you to a local media company who specializes in helping businesses navigate the digital media frontier. Regardless of what industry you are in, digital media has proven to be a valuable asset in growing businesses and helping them effectively reach their target audiences. Joining me on air will be Russ Alman, co-owner of Digital Media Northwest. Russ works closely with businesses to build powerful online presence and effective online marketing campaigns. Don't navigate too far from your screen. We'll be right back on air here on the NCW Life channel. Welcome back on air. I'm here today with Russ Alman from Digital Media Northwest. Welcome to Networked.
Good to be here.
So excited to have you on air. Russ is just recently joined the NCW Tech Alliance Board of Directors, and so we're going to have an opportunity this upcoming years to work really closely in the community on some nonprofit initiatives. But before we talk about the community, I'd love for our audience to learn a little bit more about you and your background.
Sure. Well, been in the Pacific Northwest since 1992.
Okay.
I'm originally from Michigan. I grew up in Upper Michigan, so I'm a Youper. That's what we're called.
Okay.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
The joke is that the people from the Lower Peninsula live under the bridge, so they're trolls.
Okay.
That bridge, so, anyway. So that's my background, and so I do have a Packers jacket that I wear occasionally, especially when the Seahawks aren't doing well. So
I'm sure that gives you a lot of looks.
Yeah. Actually, I was getting fist bumps last week.
Okay, all right, yeah.
We moved. My wife and I moved west in 1992. Spent about 9 years in Eugene. And Springfield, and after a brief stint in Florida, we changed our mind, came back, lived in the Olympia area for about 9 years, and during all of that time, was doing computer support. I actually have a degree in communications, but have a lot of background in computers. And as a trailing spouse looking for work, I ended up getting into computers, and spent 20 years doing on-site computer support for people in the Mac world. Ironically, I'm not on a Mac anymore, but I'm platform agnostic now. So,
Okay.
We moved to Wenatchee in 2012 when my wife accepted a position at Wenatchee Valley College. She's the communications instructor there, and so I thought that would be a good opportunity to kind of shift gears. I had when Facebook came out, when Facebook started becoming really popular in the around 2008 or so, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I totally get this, and this is where things are going. Yeah. And so it kind of gave me an opportunity to transition from doing computer work, still taking advantage of my technical background, but moving back towards the communications marketing side. And so I was already in the process of doing that when we moved over to Wenatchee, and decided to start a partnership with Dominic Bonnie with Strategically. He was with Strategically Social. He had his own company. He was doing social media work, and I was doing social media work too. And some opportunities came up, and we were like, let's pool resources to see if we can get some of these contracts together. And that's kind of how we got started. So we created Digital Media Northwest in 2014, fall of 2014, and have been kind of building that ever since.
So now, almost 8 years later, still in business, still growing. So congratulations, right? That's always the first step in the entrepreneurial journey, to just keep evolving, keep growing. You and Dominic were both individually involved with our nonprofit too, which was Guada back then, with a lot of programs. But you were really on the forefront. Let's talk about Facebook for just a second, because now in 2022, it seems common sense everyone who has a business has a business Facebook page.
Mhm.
But back then, a lot of businesses really didn't understand how to use that platform.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because, I mean, it's still relatively, in putting in perspective, I mean, television's been around since the 1940s. Still, the internet has been around since the earlier really, but
Yeah.
publicly available since the early 90s. Social media didn't really start to take off till 2008. So it's still evolving fairly quickly. I mean, it's become it's definitely matured, but it's still in this constant state of change. And so what you did last week doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work this week.
Yeah.
Part of what I try to teach people about social media is you're in rented space, really. You don't own it.
Yeah.
When you have an email list or you have a website, that's your property, and you can do what you want with it and have total control over it. When you're using social media, you're basically, renting a room, and they can change the terms of the agreement at any time, really, and they do, and sometimes it can be really traumatic. There are some changes coming to Facebook that they've been kind of kicking down the road a bit over the last year or so that I think when people see them, they're going to be shocked.
I've never heard that framing of renting the space. I think that's a really great way to conceptualize the world of social media, because you're right. You make a business post or nonprofit post, and then it opens this engagement portal where people can add their voice, share, and really change your message, or interpret your message maybe in a way you didn't want to.
Right, and that's the other component of it, is that you're not just in a space that's owned by somebody else, but you don't have control over your message once it's out there, really.
Yeah.
And it's been a difficult adjustment for a lot of ad agencies and marketing firms to get used to that, because they're used to being able to control their message from start to finish. And when you put it online, people can do what they want. I mean, example, you could start a hashtag on Twitter or Instagram that's trying to promote your brand in a well-meaning way, and sometimes it can totally backfire.
Yeah.
And people can use it against you or use it for a different brand because you don't own it.
The nature too of those formats versus traditional media, maybe you make a television ad or you put a print in the paper, but you have to be really responsive in the social media space. So, kind of diving in there, you as the owner of a management company, that must be kind of a 24 hours of managing content.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I mean, some of our clients have 24/7 issues that can come up, and there are times that we get an alert at 4:30 in the morning that something's got to be taken care of, and it can happen.
And you can't wait till the weekend. If you are trending on social media on a Saturday, you can't say, "Oh, well, we're out till Monday." You kind of really have to be proactive.
Yeah, and it's as business owners, we've had to learn how to delegate better, so that because we can't be up 24 hours a day.
Yeah. You need sleep once in a while, huh?
yeah, and and sometimes I actually don't want to look at social media. It's been interesting over the course of our business, because initially we started out with social media being our kind of bread and butter.
Okay.
And our intent was to get into video. And now I would say probably about 2/3 of our revenue is coming from doing video production in varying capacities.
And what does video production mean for someone who's watching in today when you say you're doing video production?
Well, it's a lot different than it used to be. So back when I went to school and did video production, you were designing TV, segments for TV shows or other, I mean, it could be for movies too, but it's either for TV shows or, you might have things like corporate videos or promotional videos that are shown at trade shows or something like that. But that was pretty much it. But, the internet and social media in particular have just totally changed what's done for video production. So when you're doing videos for social media, you're doing really short things to get people's attention. Sometimes you're doing something, a lot of times we'll build a package of videos around a topic for a client. So there might be short social media teasers to get people's attention, and there's a longer version of the topic on YouTube.
So we're talking about content. It's not like 15, 20-minute videos or kind of that corporate feel, but more short bursts.
Yeah, it really depends on where where it's going to be presented. But in a lot of cases, we're using multiple channels to present it. And, so what you're posting to Instagram is different than what you'd post to Facebook. For example, I'm producing television shows for the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. I have 2 shows that I'm responsible for. There's an exercise show called Vibrant Motion. I'm plugging the shows.
Yes.
So we do an aerobics program called Vibrant Motion, and we're doing a variety show called Vibrant Living. Those are appearing on NCW Life. And so kind of our workflow with those is we do the segments. I kind of let them run and make them as long as they let people talk themselves out.
Yeah.
They could be 10 minutes, or they could be, in my case, I actually interviewed myself on camera. That was interesting, and it ended up being a 34-minute interview. And so those long ones, we'll lightly edit and put those online, like on YouTube, because there really is no limit, right?
I see.
But for the television show, we need to get them down to segments that will fit in the show. So they'll typically be 8 minutes or 12 minutes, depending on how many segments we're trying to fit into a 30-minute episode. But we'll keep both versions, and then we can use the longer ones to promote the television show. We can create, highlight versions as teasers on social media. So a lot of ways you can repurpose the same content on different media.
That's what was coming to mind as you were talking, is, how can maybe business owners take advantage of a video platform, but not have it be a one and done video, like you produced, it plays, you're done, and how they integrate that in media. But speaking of segments, we have to head to a commercial break. So we'll dive into that here in just a few minutes. We'll be right back here on the NCW Life channel. I want to welcome you back to Networked. I've been chatting with Russ Alman of Digital Media Northwest about his background, social media. Russ, such a great discussion, the first segment. As we were ending, we were talking a lot about video and how video can be used for businesses. It's also being used for community engagement. You've got your own shows on the NCW Life channel, Vibrant Living and
Vibrant Motion.
Which I think is really important. Oh, we've got some photos up here for our audience too.
Yeah, that's a photo of us shooting on location for Vibrant Living at the Kashmir Museum. This is actually our makeshift studio it's the social hall at the senior center, which since there's no seniors in there right now because they've been closed because of COVID, we've been using it as a TV studio.
Yeah. How did those projects happen?
So the Vibrant shows have been kind of a long time thing coming. NCW Life had actually been talking with the senior center for years about doing a TV show, and there was interest on both sides. Yeah. It just never really had gotten off the ground for various reasons, but it's a lot of work.
Right.
So it was still being kind of kicked around, and then COVID happened. I had a meeting with Dave Tosh, the executive director of the senior center, I think it was about May 2020. And he brought me in, he said, I got to do something because the seniors can't come in and I need to be able to reach the seniors. What do we need to do to get this TV show started?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of it. And so the original idea was to have an hour-long variety show, I think. And what we ended up doing, because we wanted to do an exercise segment, we realized working with the exercise instructors that they're typically used to doing hour-long classes. Mm. So we kind of made some adjustments to how they do their class format, so it would fit a TV show and turn it into an hour-long exercise program. And so that's where Vibrant Motion came from. So we've had yoga, Tai Chi, and aerobics. Right now we're just doing aerobics. It just kind of depends on the season. Yeah. I think we're hoping to vary it a little bit more in maybe next season in the spring. Part of it's been, again, just COVID-related stuff. It's just hard to get a bunch of people in one place safely. Right. So we've done 4 seasons. We're working on the 4th season of Vibrant Motion right now. Last season we shot outdoors at Eastmont Community Park, which is fantastic because the weather was great. Yeah. In the winter, this year we're shooting at the Rack, which has been working really well because they actually have an exercise studio that they do aerobics classes in. So we're able to take advantage of that space, and that's been really helpful. Vibrant Living, we decided to make that sort of a variety show format. Kind of the idea I kind of had in my head was kind of like a evening magazine format like they do on King 5. That was kind of the grain of the idea, and it's kind of evolved from that. But we generally have 2 or 3 segments per half-hour episode. We frequently will do what we call a senior spotlight, where we'll feature an area senior and just what they're doing in their life, how they got here, how they're active in the community. And then we frequently will interview different organizations in the community that provide services for seniors, so that we can share their information. And then we also do segments on things that are happening at the senior center. And obviously that's a little tricky right now because they've been closed for so long. But there are a lot of programs that they have that are important to the senior community. And that was a big part of the reason for creating the shows, was as a community outreach tool for the senior center. It's been a learning experience for everybody, and I have training doing video production in my past, but that was back when we were using tapes and big backpacks and things, and so having equipment small and portable and versatile like it is now is fantastic. Just makes it so much more flexible to be able to do stuff like that.
Well, kudos to you for doing that work, because it's a great community engagement, really important before COVID. But I know our seniors have been some of the individuals most disproportionately affected during the pandemic, being a lot more housebound, not able to see as many people in some of our areas. So awesome to really try to make an impact there. I want to kind of slightly pivot on the video side to dive into the suite of things you do at Digital Media Northwest, because it is not just a one tool that you offer. So tell me a little bit more about the suite of things that your company's doing.
Well, kind of our goal has been to be able to be a turnkey solution for small to mid-sized businesses and nonprofit organizations to be able to get all of their digital marketing. So whether they need a website, or they need social media management, or they need promotional video, or documentary videos, or any combination of that. And we have clients that we do all of those for. We have some that we work with on a month-to-month basis under a retainer. We have others that we work with on a per item basis. The pandemic has been interesting. In a way, there's been a silver lining to it, because at the front end, I was scared, like a lot of businesses. It's like, what's going to happen to all of our work? And we did lose a couple of big clients at the beginning, but at the same time, we had other clients and even some new clients that came out that needed to get their messages out because of the pandemic. And it's actually, the Vibrant shows are a good example of that. I mean, it was finally the catalyst that got those going. Right. And it's now a big chunk of the work that we do. It's also shifted our client base. I think I looked and now about 2/3 to 3/4 of our clients are nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because to be able to, it's great to be able to do marketing and promotion, but it's also it's really fulfilling to be able to do work that has meaning to the community, and to be able to go to bed at night and think about all the stuff that we're doing that's
helping people,
helping the community.
Yeah.
And that's been it's been a really positive outcome from the last couple of years.
We were talking offline about a couple of things that you're particularly passionate about, and that includes photography. So we've got up on screen here, can't talk anymore, some photos from a hockey game. Just tell us a little bit about, so included in the services you provide is event photography.
Yeah. And that's really it's been a personal passion of mine. I mean, I was in high school. I was on the yearbook committee.
Yeah.
I shot photos for that. It's I think I got my first camera when I was probably about 10, and my dad was into photography too, and it's just one of those things that I've always really enjoyed. Both video and photography are composition's a huge component of that, but there's something about being able to freeze a moment in time that's really special. And you can with the technology that's coming now with video, you can freeze frames from your video and get stuff too, but it's not the same as
a live action
shooting the timing and getting just that moment when something exciting happened. And so general photography I like doing too, but sports photography is just something I always wanted to get good at.
Yeah.
There's living in Wenatchee Valley, I'm never going to make a living being a sports photographer. So it's really more of it's more of a hobby.
Yeah.
I do get paid for it, and we do it as part of the business, but it's really more, it's a hobby that's supported by my business because we have the tools to do it. That's kind of more the frame of reference that I use to do it now. And it's it also has some visibility aspects too, because people see me when I shoot the Wenatchee Wild games. Yeah. People know it's me. I interact with the fans a lot. Yeah. People get to know me, and I've actually started putting all the. I stopped actually trying to sell the photos. We just put them on our website now, and I put them on a blog on our website. So. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on air today. I'm really excited. We mentioned very early in the segment.
1999, NCW Tech Alliance has served as our regional hub for technology innovation. As a 501c3, their nonprofit mission is to connect people and technology resources to create a thriving community. You can network with the team and guests from today's show by visiting them at www.ncwtech.org.